Have you ever been in the middle of a simple stretch, maybe just reaching for your toes in the morning, and suddenly the room starts to spin? Or perhaps you're out in the garden. You bend down to pull a weed, and you suddenly feel so lightheaded that you have to grab onto something just to steady yourself. It is a frightening and very confusing moment. You are trying to do something good for your body, something healthy, but it feels like your body is betraying you. It can make you hesitant. It can make you afraid to move. And many people start to think to themselves, maybe exercise just isn't safe for me anymore. But what if that dizziness was not a sign that you should stop exercising? What if it was a warning sign that you are simply doing a common healthy exercise in a way that is no longer safe for your body after the age of 60? Today, we are not going to tell you to stop moving. We are going to teach you how to move smarter by exposing 9 common exercises that could be silently increasing your risk of a fall or even a stroke. To guide us through this very important topic of safe movement, we are so honored to have Dr. Shigeki Hinahara with us. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ben. What you describe is a very common and important experience. The goal should never be to stop moving. Movement is a sign of life. The goal is to learn to move smarter. An aging body is a very wise body, but it has a new set of rules that it follows. We must listen to these new rules and learn to adapt our movements to honor them, not to fight against them.
And to help all of our viewers understand these new rules, we have organized these 9 exercises into 3 main categories of risk. We want you to understand why a movement might be risky so you can make intelligent choices for your own body. First, we will discuss the blood pressure drop risk. These are common movements that can cause you to feel dizzy or faint. Second, we will cover the blood pressure spike risk. These are exercises that can put a sudden, dangerous strain on your heart and brain. And third, we will explore the direct vessel and fall risk movements that pose a direct physical threat to the arteries in your neck or from a serious fall. For each one, Dr. Hinahara will explain the safe alternative, and I will explain the simple science of why the risk exists. It is a true blessing to have this knowledge so that we can move with confidence and care for the bodies we've been given. If you are ready to learn how to move safely and confidently for the rest of your life, please type the number 1 in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. And this guide is one of our most important yet for your safety and your independence. Okay, doctor, let's dive right into our first category of risk. This is one that I think so many people watching have experienced, and it can be very frightening. This is the blood pressure drop risk. What is the first common everyday movement that can trigger this dangerous feeling?
The first movement is one that we all do many times a day without ever thinking about it. It is the simple act of bending forward quickly from a standing position, especially when we do it with straight legs. Perhaps to pick up a piece of mail from the floor or to tie your shoe in a hurry. This reminds me of a patient of mine, Mary, who was 71 years old. Her great passion in life was her garden, but she came to see me because she was starting to feel afraid in her own backyard. She said that every time she would bend down quickly at the waist to pull a weed from her low flower beds, a wave of dizziness would wash over her. She told me she would have to put her hand on the ground to keep herself from falling over. It was making her feel frail, and it was stealing the joy from her favorite hobby.
Mary's experience is the classic real-world example of a condition called orthostatic hypotension or postural hypotension. Let me explain for our viewers exactly what is happening inside the body during that dizzy spell. When you are standing upright, the force of gravity is already naturally pulling some of your blood down into your legs. When you bend forward quickly at the waist, even more blood rushes to your head. Then when you stand back up quickly, that blood rapidly pulls back down in your legs. For a brief moment, there is less blood volume returning to your heart, which means your heart pumps less blood up to your brain. This causes a temporary drop in your brain's oxygen supply, and that is what creates that sudden dizzy, lightheaded, or graying out feeling. In a younger person, there are special sensors in the arteries called baroreceptors that detect this pressure drop instantly and signal the heart and blood vessels to tighten and compensate very, very quickly. But as we age, this reflex system can become a little bit slower. There can be a delay of just 1 or 2 seconds, and in that short delay, you can easily lose your balance and have a very dangerous fall.
So the solution for Mary was not to stop gardening. The solution was to change the way she moved. I taught her a very simple rule: never bend at the waist with straight legs. Instead, she should first bend her knees and lower her entire body down in a squatting motion. And she must always move slowly and deliberately. If needed, she could place one hand on a nearby fence post for a little bit of support. This simple change allowed her to work in her garden for hours without any more dizzy spells. She was not weak. She was just moving in a way that was no longer wise for her body's new rules.
So the key is to avoid those rapid changes in posture. That leads us directly to the second exercise on our list in this category, which is the mistake of doing squats or sit-to-stand exercises too quickly.
Yes, many people see exercise videos online with young personal trainers doing very fast bouncing squats. For an older person, this is very unwise. The repetitive, rapid up and down movement creates that same constant challenge for your blood pressure system. It is asking your heart and your blood vessels to constantly try and adjust up and down very, very quickly, which they are no longer designed to do.
That's exactly right. It doesn't give that baroreceptor system in your body enough time to stabilize between each repetition. This can lead to that same feeling of dizziness or instability, which is the last thing you want when you are trying to build strength. You are exercising to prevent falls, not to create a situation that could cause one.
The safe and far more effective way to do this strength exercise is slowly and with great control. When you stand up from your chair, do it on a slow count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Stand up tall and pause for a full breath at the top. Then sit back down just as slowly. 1, 2, 3. This slow, controlled movement builds much more real-world strength and is completely safe for your cardiovascular system.
That is wonderful advice. It's about being intentional and respectful of our body's natural rhythm. It's a way of showing care and gratitude for the body we've been given, rather than just forcing it to perform. And that is where true lasting health is found. Okay, doctor, so we've learned how to avoid exercises that cause a dangerous drop in blood pressure. Now let's talk about the second category of risk, which is the exact opposite but equally dangerous problem. These are the exercises that can cause a dangerous blood pressure spike.
Yes, this is a very serious risk, especially for men who may have been strong their entire lives and are used to pushing themselves. The first 2 exercises in this category, and they are closely related, are lifting very heavy weights and holding a plank for too long. Both of these are dangerous for the same reason. They encourage a person to instinctively hold their breath during a moment of intense strain. Let me tell you about George, a 73-year-old grandfather. He was a very proud and strong man who always insisted on doing things himself. He was at a local garden center with his son buying a heavy bag of soil. He waved his son off and insisted on lifting the 40-pound bag into the trunk of the car himself. He bent down, grabbed the bag, held his breath, and strained with all his might to lift it. In that moment, he told me later, he felt a sudden blinding flash of light in his vision, and a headache so intense it felt like he had been struck by lightning. He had suffered a TIA, a mini stroke. The immense pressure he had created inside his body was too much for a small, fragile blood vessel in his brain.
George's story is the classic and terrifying example of what happens during the Valsalva maneuver. When you seal your airway by holding your breath, and then you strain with all your might, whether you are lifting a heavy bag of soil or even just holding a difficult plank position for too long, you create an enormous and sudden spike in the pressure inside your chest and abdomen. This pressure transfers directly to the arteries in your neck and head. For a moment, your blood pressure can shoot up to dangerously high levels. For an older person whose blood vessels may be less flexible than they used to be, this sudden violent spike in pressure can be enough to cause a small tear or even a rupture leading to a bleeding or hemorrhagic stroke.
So the rule for this is simple, but you must practice it until it becomes an automatic habit. You must always breathe. When you're lifting something, you should always exhale on the effort as you're lifting, and you inhale as you lower the object. When you're holding an exercise like a plank, you must take slow, steady, continuous breaths the entire time. Never ever hold your breath when your body is under strain.
Always breathe. That is a critical life-saving rule. Now, what about another classic exercise that often involves strain, rapid crunches, or sit-ups?
Yes, especially when they are done very quickly in a bouncing motion. This creates a similar repetitive spike in pressure inside the abdomen and chest. It is not a gentle or a safe movement for an older body that is trying to protect its blood pressure.
That's right. And the research you shared from the American Journal of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation is very interesting. It found that these rapid abdominal exercises can actually lead to a temporary decrease in cerebral blood flow, which means less blood getting to the brain while you are doing them. This is what can cause that feeling of dizziness or seeing spots. A much safer and more effective option is to do slower, more controlled core exercises like a gentle pelvic tilt while you are lying on your back, where you can breathe deeply and steadily throughout the entire movement.
Our final habit in this pressure spike category is not about a specific movement, but about the timing of your movement. It is the habit of doing intense exercise in the late evening, too close to your bedtime. The body has a natural rhythm. The morning and the afternoon are the times for high energy activity. The evening is the time for winding down and preparing for a night of rest and repair. An intense workout late at night sends a very confusing and stressful signal to the body.
It absolutely does. An intense workout like running a fast-paced spin class or heavy resistance training triggers a massive release of your fight-or-flight stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This raises your heart rate and your blood pressure. That is perfectly fine and healthy at 10 o'clock in the morning. But at 9 o'clock at night, it can prevent your blood pressure from dipping down naturally while you sleep, which is a crucial part of your body's recovery process. This condition, called nighttime hypertension, is a major and very silent risk factor for stroke. It's about honoring the natural God-given rhythms of day and night that our bodies are designed to follow.
So the solution is simple. Save your more intense high-energy workouts for earlier in the day. In the evening, choose calming and gentle movements. A slow, peaceful walk after dinner, gentle stretching, or some calming yoga. These are activities that support your body's natural transition to sleep. They do not fight against it.
This is all so important. It's about working with our bodies, not against them. And it is a joy to share this with our wonderful community. To help us see that community, please let us know what city, state, or country you are watching from.
We have covered the risks that cause blood pressure to drop and the risks that cause it to spike. Our final category of risk is about movements that can pose a direct physical threat to the blood vessels in your brain, or that can lead to a fall that causes a head injury.
This is a very serious category. What is the first exercise or movement on this list, doctor?
The first is a very common but very dangerous habit that people do when they feel a stiff neck. It is the habit of doing rapid, forceful neck twists or neck rolls. People will often jerk their head quickly from side to side, trying to get a pop or a crack to release the tension. This is extremely unwise for an older person.
It is incredibly dangerous. To understand why, we need to understand a little bit of simple anatomy. There are two very important arteries called the vertebral arteries that run up the back of your neck, passing through small channels in your vertebrae. They supply a large amount of blood directly to the back part of your brain, which controls your balance and coordination. When you whip your neck around in a fast jerking motion, you can physically compress, or in a worst-case scenario, even cause a small tear in the lining of one of these delicate arteries. This can lead to a clot forming, which can then travel up into the brain and cause a major stroke. The New England Journal of Medicine has reported cases of this happening not from a car accident, but from simple stretching done improperly.
So, the safe alternative is simple and must be followed. All neck movements should be slow, gentle, and controlled. Never jerk your neck. Gently tilt your head from side to side or slowly turn to look over your shoulder only as far as is comfortable. If you have chronic neck stiffness, the best solution is to apply a warm compress and to see a qualified physical therapist.
That is very clear advice. What is the next exercise that poses a direct risk?
The next is one that has become popular in some exercise classes for seniors. It is the practice of doing inverted yoga poses, like a shoulder stand or a headstand where your head is below your heart.
And while this might be fine for a young, healthy yoga teacher for a senior, it can be quite risky. When you go upside down, you cause a massive rush of blood to your head. This dramatically increases the intracranial pressure, which is the pressure inside your skull. If you are an older adult who already has high blood pressure or blood vessels that are less flexible, this sudden intense pressure can be enough to overwhelm the system and potentially cause a small blood vessel in the brain to rupture.
There is a much safer and more beneficial alternative if you want to get the benefits of inversion. It is the simple legs up the wall pose. You simply lie on your back on the floor and rest your legs up against a wall. This gives you the wonderful benefit of improving circulation in your legs without putting any dangerous pressure on your head.
That's a perfect modification. And what is our final and ninth risky habit, doctor?
Our final habit is about a very common piece of equipment in many American homes and gyms. It is the mistake of running too fast on a treadmill without holding on to the handrails. The primary risk here is not directly to the blood vessels, but the result can be the same. The risk is of a simple trip or a stumble.
And the data from the NIH and other health agencies is very clear on this. Seniors suffer a higher rate of serious accidents on treadmills than any other age group. As we get older, our reaction time and our coordination naturally slow down just a little bit. A small misstep that you could have easily corrected at age 30 can lead to a serious fall at age 70. And if that fall results in you hitting your head, it can absolutely cause a brain bleed and a major stroke.
So, the rules for the treadmill are simple. First, keep your pace steady and manageable. A brisk walk is much safer and just as beneficial for your heart as a risky jog. Second, Always keep your hands close to the handrails. There is no shame in holding on. In fact, it is a sign of wisdom. And always use the safety clip. It is there to protect you. Safety is always more important than speed.
Doctor, this has been an incredibly important and eye-opening guide. You've walked us through 9 common exercises and movements and organized them into 3 clear categories of risk: the risk of a blood pressure drop, the risk of a blood pressure spike, and the risk of a direct vessel injury or fall. The most powerful message for me is that the goal after 60 isn't to stop moving. It is to learn how to move smarter. This is a fundamental principle of good senior health. By making these simple, wise adjustments, like bending your knees, breathing through the effort, and moving slowly and deliberately, you are dramatically lowering your risk of a fall-related injury or a stroke. This knowledge empowers you to stay active with confidence, and that is so crucial for long-term senior health. You are not just exercising, you are practicing the art of safe movement, which is the key to preventing a stroke and maintaining your independence. This is one of the most important aspects of proactive senior health.
I want to leave everyone with this one final thought. Please listen to your body. It is your wisest teacher. If you feel dizzy during a movement, that is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you need to change the movement to a different, gentler way. Wisdom is not about pushing through pain. It is about adapting. True strength as you get older is found in moving safely and with great care.
That is a beautiful message, Doctor. True strength is moving safely. It's about being a good and wise steward of the one body we are blessed with to carry us through our entire lives. And of course, the wisest way to begin any new exercise program is to speak with your personal doctor or a qualified physical therapist. Please remember that our conversation today is for educational purposes. It is not a substitute for a direct medical evaluation and a personalized exercise plan from a professional who understands your health history. If you found this guide helpful and it has given you more confidence to move safely, please give this video a like so that others can find this important information, and be sure to share it with a friend or family member over 60. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It is completely free, and it ensures you will not miss our next practical health guide. And for our community discussion today, what is one exercise modification you learned today that you will use in your own routine to make it safer? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your idea might help someone else in our community. Thank you for being with us. Move wisely and be well, and